you folks, our last story was about the revisiting of the 70-foot shaft. That was a very interesting story, solved by a lot of people. In fact, I just learned that we're sitting with Mysteries of Superstition Mountain on 11 million views now. And on our trip to revisit the 70-foot shaft, our wilderness guide had something he wanted to show our film crew. So we sent the crew out, and Dave, why don't you tell us about it?
First off, I just have to say, going into Superstition Mountains is an amazing place. I see why people go up there and spend their lifetimes up there searching just as an excuse to stay up there, because it is so beautiful. Just a beautiful, fascinating place. And I got to say, everywhere I look, I see, well, that could be a clue to the mind. That looks like a place. You know, it's just, it's one of those places that just spurs your imagination. But I went up there with the guide, and he says, let me show you something. He says, so what is one of the clues looking through a hole in the rock and the heart and all these guys? He's kind of prepping me with all the clues. So he says, let me show you something. So we climbed up this ridge and up a long way, and we get up the top of this ridge, and he says, now look through there. Look through where? Right on there. So I look down there, and there's a heart in the rock. I mean, this heart-shaped eye of the needle, or whatever you want to call it, you know, an arch. And I looked through that arch. He says, now look through that arch. Look up there. What do you see? I see a big ridge up there, and a rock formation. He says, can you see on the very far left there, can you see like the horse's head? That's kind of another one of the clues. And goes, oh, now that you put that in my head, that's what I see. That's what I see. Because so what does that mean? He says, now look over the edge there. What do you see down there? Oh, I see some people on horseback riding up a trail. He says, off to the distance there is where one of the big battles happened in the Superstition Mountains with the Apaches. So, you know, that could have been you know, a military trail. Yeah. And I'm going, oh boy, here we go. He says, what do you think about us going up there to that ridge and seeing what's up there? See where that horse's head is? And says, okay. I did not have to be persuaded. I was excited about it. So it was pretty rough. We walked up that thing. It was almost straight up in places. Like Hank used to say, you know you're walking up a steep place when your nose is touching the ground as you're walking. Yeah, it was one of those kind of things. But we got up there, and it was interesting. We were walking along the ridge up there, and it's all kind of a black, different rock and lower, different color. And walking on the ridge, and there's cairns, big cairns, not like the ones you see on Boulder Canyon, but big cairns. He says I kind of believe that the bigger cairns are from, you know, been here longer. They were been around a lot longer. They're more older or ancient than the ones you see at Boulder Canyon. And we were following a few of those and out to the edge of the ridge. And then I look down and I go, what's that? He goes, I said, it looks like a petroglyph to me. And he goes, well, it could be. And, you know, we can put a picture up, people can decipher themselves, but it looked like a petroglyph. It looked like it had been there for a while to me. And we went a little further off the ridge and found a little trouble. And then we came off the ridge and came down and we got to the horse's head. Now, it looked like a giant squirrel to me when I saw it. And, you know, we're looking at it, but it, you know, from a distance, it looked like a big horse's head. And it was fascinating. So, okay, we found a horse's head. So what does that mean? He goes, you haven't seen anything yet. I go, what do you mean I haven't seen anything yet? He says, when we go right around the corner from that horse's head, and guess what we found? Entrance to a mine. Go, you gotta be kidding me. This is like following all the clues. I'm starting looking for red hills and everything else, you know. And he says, and so we went back. I hooked up a light and the camera, and I started walking back in that thing. It was scary. First thing I see is a rattlesnake shed, and then I see a jaw from a javelina, and I'm going back there. This is scary. And I keep walking back at about 100 feet. you know, way back there, and it just kind of stopped and then kind of made a T. And it was interesting back there. I mean, you could see where dynamite had been used to dig that. It was in solid rock. And again, I'm not a miner. I don't know that much about it, but I didn't see any quartz.
How far back?
It was about 100 feet.
Oh, okay.
Good 100 feet. It was a long way, and it kind of curves a little bit, you know, so you don't really know where the end's going to happen, so it feels like it's a lot longer than it actually is. And on either side, there was like indentations, and on one side it went back about another 20 feet, and there was a kind of a hole. And in that hole, we saw a carcass of a doe. So obviously a mountain lion's been using that cave.
Wow.
And then right there at the end of the tunnel, if you step on it, you hear boom, and you tap your foot on it, it's hollow. Now, you know, I know the rules up in the Superstition Mountains, you can't dig stuff up, but it felt like there was someone that put a board down and covered it with a few inches of concrete and was covering up a big hole or a little hole or something.
Yeah.
But at the back of that thing, there was something else going down. So, who knows? But I got to tell you, it is fun. I can see where people can get addicted to that. We're gonna find something. You know, this could be the Lost Dutchman mine. It's so much fun. The only problem is I've been out there a few more times, and you see other clues too. So I don't know. Yeah. But that was a fascinating trip. Walking back in that mine, it's pitch black. It's scary, you know. And you know, I'm 6'6", so it's kind of a little weird to walk in something that I have to kind of bend over to walk. But it's really fascinating. I just can't believe people would spend all that time digging holes way back in the mountains like that. That would be just amazing.
Well, there you have it, folks. Every time we go out and find something like this, there's always some clues that tell you why these people decided to do what they did.
Yeah. And, you know, like the 70-foot shaft, there's a few clues that lined up. Let's dig. There's a horsehead rock. Let's dig. So it's amazing. The Superstition Mountains are amazing. And as you always say, that's another mystery of the Superstition Mountains.
Right.
Stole your line.
Great.
Thank you for watching this episode of Mysteries of the Superstition Mountains.